Hello, and welcome back to Rap Cinema. Today we will be looking at how a 52-year-old milkshake salesman stole the biggest fast food name in the world, and turned it into the biggest billion-dollar franchise as we know it today. This is a movie based on the true story of the birth of McDonald's, and it has a major plot twist. So sit back, relax, and get yourself a Big Mac for the show. Spoilers ahead. We immediately meet our protagonist, Ray Kroc, talking directly to the camera. He is in a restaurant trying to sell the owner one of his latest inventions to help make milkshakes faster. Unfortunately, after all his effort and persuasive riz, the owner declines. He awkwardly struggles to lift the milkshake mixer to the car but gets there in the end. Ray continues to try selling his machine to multiple locations, but everywhere he goes there seems to be no luck, which is actually quite depressing, because his sales skills riz is off the charts. Ray is on the phone to his wife in his hotel room and tells her that there has been a lot of interest in his machine, but her response indicates that she thinks otherwise. He lies and tells her he needs to go to fill out paperwork. He turns on a record player and pours himself a drink. The record he put on is a motivational speech to encourage him to keep trying, as clearly he's taken a few too many hits and is losing the will to live. Again, the next day he heads out to work to try and get a few sales, but depressingly fails again. He calls his secretary June from back home in Illinois, from a payphone. It is shown his company is called Prince Castle Sales from a logo board on the office wall. She gives him some updates and bills that need to be paid and also informs him that she got a call for an order of 6 milkshake mixers. Ray is confused by this, as his mixers could make 5 milkshakes at a time, and no restaurant would have that high of a volume of orders to justify buying 6. He was also struggling to sell a single one himself, so it seemed really strange. He calls the store that ordered them to clear things up. An employee answers, introducing the restaurant as McDonald's, the first one ever created, but it was just like any normal local restaurant at this stage. Ray asks to speak to the manager and then asks him about the mixers that he had ordered, as he thinks there has been a miscommunication. The manager agrees and asks if he can order 8 mixers instead. Ray is in shock and disbelief, and drives 2,000 miles to San Bernardino to see the restaurant as he is so curious. We calculated the journey, and he must have traveled for 2 days. Who drives 30 hours for a cheeseburger? He finally gets to the town and pulls up outside McDonald's, with bright sunshine and happy music playing, with a big sign reading 15-cent hamburgers. Screw inflation. He lines up in the long queue and is skeptical, but the NPC in front assures him it won't take long. He gets to the front, and this is where we see the creation of fast food. He orders his food and gets it placed in front of him 30 seconds later. He is confused and tells the server that it isn't possible for his food to be ready since he just ordered. Again, the server assures him that it's his and he can take his food. Ray, still in such bewilderment, can't believe the system in front of him. Top 10 historical moment of all time. This is a masterpiece of a scene. The server deserves an Oscar. His smile is just so damn comforting. Ray sits on the bench to eat his food, when we are met with the most erotic food scene in the movie, where this burger is romanticized. Kinda weird, but we don't kink shame. A family sit beside Ray, where this NPC continues to pretend to eat her burger but doesn't even take a single bite. We see her a minute later with the same unmarked burger, which really annoys us. We are now introduced to one of the McDonald's founding brothers, Mac, as he is sweeping up rubbish from the street. Ray tells him that he's the guy selling them the mixers and lies about being in the area for business meetings, when what he really wanted to do was increase his cholesterol levels. Mac brings him into the restaurant to give him a tour of how the system works and how it's so efficient. We then meet the other brother, Dick, which you will later find out in the movie how fitting that name is. Spoiler alert, he's a big one. Exhibit A, when he tells Mac that the fries are 5% too crisp unironically. That sentence alone removes all sympathy from what later happens. Ray offers to take the brothers both out for dinner because he wants to find out about how they got to the point of owning this amazing restaurant, and maybe for a bit of freaky deaky afterwards. The brothers proceed to explain their story, but strangely start finishing each other's sentences while talking. It turns out that they owned a cinema that went bust during the economy collapse of 1929. They then opened a restaurant but wanted to move it to another location with a bigger population. There was an issue with the current state of the food industry, in which they complained of young teenagers and an overall bad atmosphere, as well as the high costs of running the traditional system. They decided to reframe their business and explain how they came up with the fast food system, which they did in a very strange way. Dick and Mac brought their employees to a tennis court and marked on the ground the fake building, and everything inside it, so they could pretend to make burgers, as if that somehow is going to help you figure it out. Apparently, this is the story of how the fast food system was created. Starting out, no one liked McDonald's because they were too lazy to get out of their cars and order themselves, and they also didn't like eating out of paper bags. Eventually, It became very popular and gained a lot of customers, just before the brothers were going to scrap the whole thing. Ray turns up the next day to the restaurant and tells the brothers to open more locations and to grow the company even bigger so that everyone can enjoy McDonald's. It turns out the brothers already tried, and didn't like the outcome of how the other restaurants ended up, because the quality of what they were selling wasn't good enough. Mac collapsed as a result and ended up in the hospital before. Ray tries to convince them to hire someone better, but Dick says they have no interest. Ray spots a painting on a wall of a conceptual art piece of a McDonald's restaurant that features the golden arches we know as today that form the yellow M. Ray then drives another 5 hours to see the one they built in Phoenix, and stand before it admiring the majestic beauty radiating off the neon lights. The next morning he arrives home to his house and enthusiastically rushes in to tell his wife about what he discovered, but she doesn't really seem to care and seems very pessimistic, implying that all of his previous ideas have been shit. His wife Ethel continues to complain about his lack of attention for her and they continue to argue. We don't appreciate the domestic issues so we will skip that for now. To clear his head, Ray goes to the cinema to watch a movie on his own. Thanks for the invite. Ouch. We are then shown a compilation of him driving through towns, focusing on the churches and the American flag. Going into another depressive phase, he then goes back to selling his milkshake mixers, and continues to get denied. He returns to bright, sunny McDonald's, and stands boldly in front of the big window, staring at the brothers with lustful eyes. He uses his sales pitch skills to convince the brothers to try to expand and grow, because of how much he believes in their restaurant. The brothers talk about it and decide to agree to go ahead with it. The brothers get a lawyer and draw up a contract with Ray to make him the head of franchising. One of the terms of his deal is that any change must be approved by the brothers, and he is only to get a 1.5% cut of all net profits. He signs the contract and immediately gets to work. He goes to the bank to try and get a loan, but the guy recognizes him from the past where he tried to sell him some other product. Every bank he goes to, he seems to get rejected because everyone recognizes him. His last choice is to remortgage his house so that he can get the money to build another McDonald's. While scheduling the building of the location, his secretary tells him the brothers have an issue. Ray wants to add a basement to the McDonald's, but the brothers don't want to approve it because of safety hazards. Ray, annoyed, hangs up the phone, criticizing them for their lack of ambition. We cut to the day of building where everything is being organized. Ray gets a letter from the brothers after he brought forward the idea of getting sponsorship from Coca-Cola. They don't like the idea of getting free money so they deny his request, further pissing off Ray. He calls them to explain that it's not an issue and it will help them expand, but Dick doesn't care and tells him no. A few months later, Ray's location is built, and we are introduced to a character later to become important down the line, Fred Turner. Ray goes home to his neglected wife and tries to cheer her up when he says he will bring her out to dinner with their friends. It is then revealed that Ray only wanted to go out for dinner so that he could get his rich friends involved in the business. He continues to expand and strike more deals with his associates and gets more locations open. Dick finds out and is suspicious about the rate of growth, and continues to worry about the level of standards. Ray goes to visit one of the locations, and is furious to discover the menu had been changed, a jukebox was added and his trust was completely violated, destroying the family-friendly environment with teenagers from Footloose. Not to mention the worst crime of all, lettuce. Ray storms onto the golf course, and slams the burger with lettuce into his associate's chest, complaining about the state of his restaurant. Because they ruined his trust, Ray chooses not to hang around them anymore and cancels dinner plans, which Ethel doesn't seem to be so happy about. Ray continues to monitor the atrocity of a McDonald's that was created and returns to the office later on. This is where he meets a salesman, similar to him, and gets the bright idea to introduce him to McDonald's. He ends up doing a great job and Ray is happy with the level of standard. Ray takes Ethel out to bingo night with all the boom shaka-laka grannies. He wants to find like-minded hard-working people to help grow his expansion that he can trust, and makes another deal with Art. He continues to seek clients and gives motivational speeches and manages to open many more locations, growing faster than he expected. The brothers, who never seem to want to come out of hibernation, aren't happy that Ray is calling his store the #1 McDonald's, yet he is the one doing all the work. Get good, kid. Ray and the guy from earlier, Fred Turner, take a flight to Minneapolis for a new grand opening, where they are welcomed by a large crowd and a group of cheerleaders. They are invited out to eat by the new franchisee where they meet Rolly, the owner of the fancy restaurant. Rolly purposes that opens a new McDonald's branch in the area, but Ray is too focused on the lady playing the piano in the background. Rolly notices and offers to introduce her to him, and he enthusiastically jumps at the opportunity. However, Ray gets a punch to the gut when the plot twist is revealed that it is actually Rolly's wife, shattering his dreams forever. He asks her to join them for a drink and he begins to brag about all the locations he has, until she asks what year he started it. He chokes on his words and tells them he started it in 1954, which Fred knows he very well didn't, and looks at the floor in awkward pain. Joan goes back to play her piano which she had left, and Ray stalks behind her. They play the piano together, in attempt to steal his wife off Rolly, but he plays it cool and watches from the distance. Ray arrives home the next day and his wife is happy to tell him about a couple she found to help in the business. However, Ray dismisses her and says he doesn't need to look for people anymore, in which Ethel replies with a hopeless sigh. We cut to the office where June tells Ray that they don't have enough money to keep growing and building more restaurants. Annoyed, Ray phones Dick, complaining about the terms of his deal, and asks for more money since 1.4% is too little. Yet again, Dick declines, saying no for the millionth time. The brothers then argue about the dangerous risk of working with Ray. Ray is getting behind on bills and goes home to have a drink where he notices his wife lurking in the dark corners of their house, staring him down. It turns out the bank called the house because Ray was too far behind on bills, and Ethel found out when she answered the phone. Ray storms into the bank to give the guy a timeout for being naughty and telling his wife. To relax, he takes a drive to Minneapolis to see Rolly's wife Joan. I think he has a crush on her. The three of them have a meeting in Rolly's restaurant, where they discuss finances and bills. Joan proposes an idea to save a lot of money, and shows Ray that they can replace ice cream with powdered milkshakes, in order to save money on the walk-in freezers. She shows him how it works and let him taste it. Joan takes a sip and leaves a lipstick mark on the glass. But that's not the only lips Ray wants. They ask to test it out for an experiment, but Ray knows he can't do that because he doesn't actually own McDonald's, and doesn't want to embarrass himself in front of his crush. He phones Dick about the idea, and Therese no guessing what he said. You guessed it, another no. Dick hangs up and proceeds to fix his tie, thinking he did something, unknowing that Ray is about to destroy his entire life and everything he has worked for. Ray is back in the office, and reads a letter from the bank saying final notice, so he goes down to try to negotiate. While talking, a guy sitting beside him, Harry Sonneborn, overhears his situation and approaches him after he leaves, saying that he loves McDonald's and wants to help him make money, since that he is in finance. They head back to the office where he proceeds to analyze and summarize his exact situation in one sentence. And then proceeds to give him a top 10 life hack that eventually makes him a billionaire. Harry tells Ray that he needs to be buying the land and making it a part of the McDonald's franchise deal, so that anyone joining must rent his land, giving him a steady income and allowing him to keep expanding. Since the brothers only control what happens inside the restaurant, they can't stop him from doing this. This is Dick and Mac's downfall, and how Dick them both over. Harry and Ray continue to expand and give sales pitches to big names, growing massively and putting out TV advertisements, which were the real advertisements at the time. Dick gets a letter from Ray's new company, explaining what services he was now offering to franchisees. Dick angrily complains to Ray, but Ray is sick of his BS and checkmates him, explaining that he has no authority of what he does outside the restaurant. Ray, now in full control, does what he wants and brings the powdered milkshakes to Rolly and Joan and tells them that he is going to put the powdered milkshakes everywhere, because Dick and Mac can't do anything. Later that night, Ray and Joan are on the phone, as he tells her the dirty secret ingredient of Big Mac sauce. And they discuss further ideas for the business. The next day Ray receives a very angry call from Dick, as he was notified that one of the restaurants were sent a crate of powdered milkshakes, and then gets an even bigger slap in the face when Ray tells him he sent it to everyone but him. Dick keeps demanding for him to stop, stating that he must follow his contract, but Ray, being the Sigma male he is, declines. He then awkwardly tells his wife he wants a divorce, as they sit in silence and eat carrots. When settling the divorce with his lawyer, he tells him he would never give her a single share of McDonald's. Oof. He then discusses with another lawyer getting the contract deleted and removed from existence. Dick and Mac receive a package from Ray, with a new flavor of powdered milkshake and a logo copying the McDonald's name, which Dick isn't happy about. Mac grabs the phone off Dick and continues to attack Ray, but he destroys them with his speech, causing Mac to fall and have a heart attack. He ends up in the hospital and Ray comes to visit with some flowers and a card. Upon opening the card, Mac finds a blank check, implying that Ray wants to buy McDonald's. Dick later phones Ray, demanding $2.7 million and 1% of profits from the company indefinitely. Harry assesses the situation, which Ray isn't happy with, but he tells Ray to relax and that it's okay. They discuss the final settlement for the deal, but Ray wants to keep the 1% profit out of the deal and keep it on a handshake basis. Their stupid lawyer lets them agree to this deal, which is completely preposterous and idiotic. The brothers get their checks and Ray leaves. Ray and Dick awkwardly meet in the bathroom and Dick asks him why he didn't just take their idea and steal it. Ray tells him the only way it would have worked was with the name, McDonald's, and how amazing it is. His final words to Dick: when he saw the name McDonald's, he knew he had to have it. The McDonald's name is removed from their restaurant as they have now lost the trademark after selling it to Ray. The movie ends with Ray talking directly in the mirror, rehearsing a speech for an interview. It's a surprise when Joan comes walking up behind Ray, revealing that she ended up leaving Rolly and got married to him. Ray walks out of the room and it ends with footage of the real Ray Kroc, explaining why he liked the name McDonald's so much.
Dick.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and remember to turn on notifications to get the best rap cinema updates.